Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson following the Saints' 1-0 win over Dartford in National League South. It's been a long time coming, Ian, and we're waiting for Dartford to launch a late onslaught to really put us under pressure, and it didn't happen. We saw the game out in relatively comfort in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said, the two questions you said there was it has been a long time coming, but we made some big decisions a couple of weeks ago, and I probably went a little bit too young in terms of the personnel we brought in. So we've had to just sort of revamp it a little bit in terms of the personnel that we brought in to replace the players that left a couple of weeks ago, and I felt today was probably one of our best performances for a long time against a good Dartford side who had spells in the first half, first 20-25 minutes. Had some good opportunities, but I felt second half we really see the game out quite well, and I felt we could have got a couple of more goals in terms of a couple of chances we got, and young Zane going through and getting cramped when he was through, which is a goalkeeper to beat. So overall, no, it is a long time coming, but it was very satisfying in the end to get the 3 points.
Was it now 2 wins in 18, 2 in 16 in the league, and the first clean sheet in 18? That's one of the most important stats, isn't it, a clean sheet?
Yeah, it is, and just little things we've done this week. We brought young Chris in, another goalkeeper, and then Rusty's probably had his best game of the season. So, we can look back at lots of things that have gone on since Christmas. But for me now, I can't keep looking back. It's disappointing, I've said before, and I'll keep saying it. I'll take full responsibility. But things needed to change. Things needed to be livened up, and hopefully, as we go on, you'll see the changes that take effect. And today, for me, was one of those games where a couple of the new lads we brought in were very effective on the game. We've got young, hungry players that want to get on the ball and be brave, and we've had to withstand a bit of an onslaught at times, but as I said to you there, I thought second half, where you expect it never really happened, and people like Jack Saville and Joe Robinson that come to the table today, and they had excellent games as centre halves.
New names are coming thick and fast. 2 debutants in the starting line-up again, another one on the bench. We can run through the new boys today. Zane Benton and Solomon Sambu started the game.
Well, Solomon's been pushed with us for probably 5 or 6 weeks now. He's been getting himself a very good reputation at Hayes and Yedding, and I think probably the situation where Hayes were in the bottom 4, no one really took any notice of him. We've had him watched on a couple of occasions now. I spoke to Graham Montgomery, who's been on loan there as well, who said he's a very, very good player. So he'd obviously signed for Wealdstone, so we'd actually put us 7 days into Wealdstone, 7 days into Hayes, and we managed to sign him on Thursday. So and I think you see at 20, not even 21 yet, but he's got a good pedigree. I mean, his pedigree is he's played in the FA Youth Cup for Fulham against Chelsea a couple of years, so he's no mug, he's a very good footballer. We just got to try and get him back to the fitness levels he was, which will happen, and hopefully we can progress. And obviously another one, young Kieran, who's only 20 again, in terms of he's been at Crystal Palace, he's been at Charlton, he's been at Stoke City. Got a good reputation in the game, but again just sort of lost his way a little bit. So it was 2 players that we've been following, and it was just right to move in now at this stage of the season and bring them in. And I think we've seen today that both players are very capable of the ball, both players are comfortable on the ball, and they've both got a good energy. So hopefully it'll be a good for both parties. And as I say, they've got 6 more games to show us what they want to do, but I felt today both of them came in and put a good response into what we needed in the team, and it certainly helped David Noble and Scotty Thomas in terms of their performances today, because I thought both of them sat there and was outstanding in what they had to do. And as you say there with Zane, I've seen Zane, we've known Zane for a long time. We've seen him when he's been at Biggleswade, seen him when he's been at Hemel, and I took him on loan at Boreham Wood. And this literally happened at 5 to 4 on Thursday afternoon. We've been chasing him for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden we got a phone call to say that Luton might let him go out. And I think Tom will confirm this. I think it was something like 4:58 and 42 seconds, or 4:59 and 10 seconds that actually got accepted by the conference. So we're quite fortunate from that side. But as I say, he will get better as games come thick and fast for him, and he needs a good end of his season for his career at Luton.
Where's that put us for the rest of the season now? We're finally gone past 50 points for the season, taking us 9 times to get past last season's total. Are we going to push on, or are you looking at players for next season? Or
no, this is a squad now. We've had the transfer deadline. There's not really a lot we can do now. We have to work with the squad we got. We've got some very good young lads in Patrick and Junior who've shown that over the last couple of weeks, but they're very young and we don't want to kill them too quickly. But they're players that we should be looking at in pre-season. We've signed a really good goalkeeper in Chris in terms of his pedigree being at Watford. So we've got a good squad. We had a squad of 20 today, quite young in areas, but it's again where we want to go in terms of what the club want to do, what I want to do, and where we want to progress to. And it starts, as I say, for me it started a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately the results and performances really didn't tell people where we was trying to start. Today was a start, and hopefully we can progress from there, but at the moment, because you're quite a young side, you're not sure what's going to be coming around the corner. We've got a tough game away against Hungerford next week, and we know that we've got to go there, be big and strong, but also try and play our football. So hopefully we can see a progression. We have to look back, and as I said to you before, from Christmas it has been disappointing, but the progression has been made. Because last year we got 49 points, this year we got 52 points. So it doesn't matter what anyone says, we've made progression. We kept the club. My remit last year was to keep the club in the division and improve it on this season. So I've done that. So performances have been poor, results have been poor. But sometimes you have to make big decisions in life and rebuild a side from where we are, and it's very difficult to rebuild it during the season. But I think you've seen the first signs of what we're trying to do here today, and hopefully that will only get better as we go into the last few weeks of the season, and certainly into pre-season into next year.
No Tom Gardner today, and they went off at half-time last week at Gosport, and no Nathan Kerr in the squad.
Nathan Kerr's gone back to Stevenage. That was their choice to call him back, so we can't do nothing about that. And Tom's still struggling. He had a fitness test before the game, but his ankle's still quite sore, so we can't do nothing from that side of it as well. And young Lewis Freestone, we had him on the bench today, but again he's a 17-year-old learning his trade, and I went back with George Casey at right back today, and I wanted to play a right-footed left back today because of Ryan Harris, who comes in on his left foot all the time, and I just felt it was more convenient. It's something that I've learnt over the last probably 7 or 8 years playing against a lad, that if you play a right-footed player against him down the left-hand side, you get a lot of joy, and it worked today with Ben playing at left back, and it's something that we've just learnt over the years at Bournemouth, and over the years we've been here.
How difficult has it been for you personally in the last few weeks as the run has gone on and on?
It's tough, but as I said to you last week, I've got really big, broad shoulders. I've been doing it for 27 years, and the only thing is, it's the personal side of it that becomes a little bit disappointing. There's a lot of criticism, which is understandable. But as I said, I've got big, broad shoulders. We're working very, very hard. The squad that we've put together, we believe in. But we have to take the knocks, because it's great when people are patting you on the back, and you have to take the knocks. We have to take the criticism, because we're trying to turn the football club round in terms of the personnel, which is tough. But as I said, 27 years. I've never had a relegation, which is important in my life. I've won some big games in terms of playoffs, in terms of winning the leagues. And even at Stotfold, we were champions. So there's things there that teach you good habits, and it's about maintaining my nerve in terms of where we are and not panicking and trying to turn it around. The one thing, as I've always said, is that we're not going to get relegated this season, so that takes a lot of pressure. The pressure that was on these players last year, which I felt I kept off the players going into the last 3 or 4 games of the season, it's pressure in terms of not having to lose a game, and the players handled it very well last year. The thing is, we've been on an awful run, and it starts to affect the players in terms of their personnel, in terms of their performances, and even in the first half we've made a couple of poor decisions and mistakes that could quite easily lead to them a goal. Now, if that first goal would have gone in and we'd gone 1-0 down, who knows where we'd have been. We could be sitting here now talking and we just got beat 3-0. But we see lots of things happening in training. We're training ever so hard. The boys are putting a good shift in, but we could have been 1-0 down, 2-0 down at half time, and it could have been a totally different result. So we've taken what we've got. We've had a couple of good options in the second half to go 2-0 up and even go 3-0 up at that stage, but it was the way we see the game out today that really pleased me, because at 1-0 we could have just panicked and got deeper and deeper and deeper, but we see the game out really well, and apart from one square where James has had to make a good save in the top corner, we never really come under much pressure apart from 1 or 2 corners.
Are you surprised that Barnet, should we say Dartford, didn't press harder in that second half, given where they are and they need the points to sort of solidify their place in the playoffs?
I can't, as I said to you before, I can't really worry about Dartford, because that's down to Tony Berman and his team. But you're probably right in one way. It's that they've been on a tremendous run. I don't know if that's their first week since they lost to Chelmsford a couple of weeks ago. But they've not lost many games this year at all. So
I think it's 1 in 15 before today.
Yeah, well, that just shows you what they're a good side. They're very well organised, and every single person knows their jobs. They play a certain way. They've got the big lad up front. They play with 2 good wingers. the shape works for them. So it was always going to be tough. I felt this was probably going to be one of our toughest games of the season, but I felt the players bought into what we did. Maybe bring in 2 or 3 lads in this week, just give us all a little bit of a lift, because the training session was definitely at a higher level, and some of the quality we showed in that was good, and I felt we showed that in periods again today. So we have to take as I said, take the good times when they come, because there's certainly over the last few weeks been some poor times, and you leave here sometimes on a Saturday or wherever we've been away and it's been very disappointing, and you look back, and I think the Gosport game, I see lots of positives in the Ebbsfleet game in terms of the energy and what we was trying to do, and the Gosport game really last week just probably put me back probably a little bit further than I wanted to be at this stage, but certainly today's been a massive bonus.
Funny, next week you say it's a tough game at Hungerford, but really the pressure's all on them, isn't it? Because they need to win, just like Dartford did today.
Well, this is what I said to the players. The longer we go at 0-0, the more the pressure's going to come on these teams, because they're now playing to get into the playoffs, where we've got to play for pride at the end of the day, and we've got to play for winning each game as it comes, because you just don't ever know where you're going to go. We've just won one of our last 16 games, I think it was, you just said there, but we've got 6 games to go, and if you keep nicking 1-0s, 2-0s or whatever, and keep picking up 3 points, you just don't know where you're going to be at the end of the day. We've got to keep believing what we're trying to do is right, keep trying to get 3 points on the board, and then see where we are at the end of the season. But there's lots to play for, but some of the teams, as I say, in terms of Hungerford next week, loads of pressure on them, no pressure on us whatsoever, but there's pressure for players to earn themselves a deal for next season now, because they're the ones that have come in, they're the ones we want to have a look at for the rest of this season, and then we can see what's available in the close season and put a squad together to hopefully do better than what we've done this season. And that's going to be a tough challenge, because we know how tough this league is, and at the moment 52 points is fine. If you look at starting on 0 and you've got to get to 53, it's a long way away. So we've got to progress more next season in terms of where we are on a yearly basis. And as we said, Rome was never built in a day. This isn't about a year. We've had a fantastic year, don't get me wrong, and I loved every single part of the first half of the year. The second half's been awful, and it's not been enjoyable, but we've got to take the positives, I'll say, and try and push it on, and hopefully improve every year as we go forward.
Thanks so much, Ian. We'll see you next week then, down at Pulpit Lane. Saints away to Hungerford Town, National League South. Kick-off is at 3 p.m.